What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Eddie D. Williams, and you are watching a brand new episode of the. Give me 1 second. There we go. Watching a brand new episode of Just Talking About Podcast. Sorry for the technical difficulties for those who are watching on the live. Still trying to work all these kinks to make sure that we get everything up and running when it's time, but thankfully we are here now. We are presented by Rebirth Publishings, the publishing arm of my adult superhero romance thriller saga, The Affinity Saga, with Book 1, the 3-time award-winning Affinity Theory, and Book 2, Echoes. Certainly glad to be on the live with y'all one more again to tell you what's going on in my world and what's going on my mind, man. A lot of things are happening, a lot of things are popping off, and I am super excited to talk about them all with you on today. So let's get into it. On yesterday, the Illinois governor and Chicago mayor have been cited trying to push back against our president and some of the things that he's trying to do in terms of trying to take over cities using martial law and all these other types of things. And Mayor Brandon Johnson in particular got on MSNBC's Morning Joe and had a conversation with Joe Scarborough about, you know, his thoughts on those things. And this is what he had to say, and this is what's going to start our conversation on today.
There were more uniformed police officers on the streets of Chicago.
I believe the city of Chicago and cities across America would be safer if we actually had, affordable housing. Look,
okay,
I'm not saying that
that's not the question I asked. My question is, and I just need a yes or a no, do you believe the streets of Chicago would be safer if you got all of those other extraordinary programs put back into place, which do have a history of being successful, if that's complemented by having 5,000 more cops on the streets of Chicago?
I don't believe that we should narrow it down to just police officers, Joe, is what I'm saying. That is an antiquated approach. I'm saying we've invested in detectives.
Mr. Mayor, are you hearing what I'm saying? I'm agreeing with you that all of these other social programs are extraordinarily important. I just need a yes or a no, and then this will be the last time I ask. If you get all of those other social programs that 800 million that New York City does, Los Angeles, other people do with great success, would an additional 5,000 cops on the streets in Chicago help complement those programs to make Chicago safer?
Look, we are working hard to make sure that our police department is fully supported.
What I noticed about a lot of people's instant reaction to Mayor Johnson and what he was trying to say without saying it on the program, what I noticed is that a lot of people felt as if Mayor Johnson was trying to duck and dodge, like he wasn't trying to answer the question at all, like he was trying to not get in trouble, not be put in a situation where, he would be caught up in some mess or, would agree one way or the other. And everybody was basically trying to call him weak and trying to call him pussyfooted and that he wasn't standing his ground one way or another. But if it's one thing that I know about politics and the theater of politics, is that when you're running a city, when you're running anything, you have to be mindful that what you say has a direct impact on how your people will then believe in you. Joe Scarborough was trying to bait and switch Mayor Johnson. He was trying very hard to try to bait and switch him by getting him on the record to say one way or the other, whether having 5,000 cops or not would make the city safer. And so Mayor Johnson did what I thought was masterful job of trying to keep the main thing, which is that, yes, while having cops within our city's streets is a part of the solution, it is not the solution. And so I was talking to my wife about it on last night, And she said that what her answer would have been was yes and no. Since you want to take it there, my answer is yes and no. Because yes, 5,000 cops on the streets may make things safer. Having 5,000 cops may not make it safer. You know, just like having all these other programs, they're not necessarily guarantees that they're going to make everything safer on their own in a vacuum. But if you put all these things together, if you have all these different pieces in place, all these different pieces put together, then it will absolutely make things safer. And there's proof in that. And so I, again, just found it very strange how a lot of people were saying such negative things toward Mayor Johnson regarding the fact that he wouldn't answer the question directly, when in fact that the answer to that question is not as simple as a yes or a no. Again, when it comes to city management, when it comes to organizational management, when it comes to state management, when it comes to national management, you know, there are a lot of elements and a lot of moving parts. One thing isn't going to make all the other things great. One thing by itself doesn't fix the problem. It's a multi-layered, multi-generational, multi-socioeconomic thing that has to take place in order for these things to make our city safer and to make them much more robust when it comes to everyone thriving and everyone winning. And so while, you know, I understand Joe Scarborough and this is what he does, you know, this is what reporters do. They want to get you on the record saying this or saying that. I feel like a lot of people in the commentary that came out of that was very inappropriate or very one-sided, because again, you know, he wasn't backing down and he wasn't being flustered and he wasn't like trying to shuck and jive. You know, he was trying to make it known that one thing isn't the thing that's going to make our city safer. We need all of the things. We need cops and mental health programs and affordable housing and equitable, you know, living spaces for all people. Like, we need to invest in our communities and we need to build them up and we need to make them, you know, more than what they currently are. We need to make sure that everyone has an equitable chance for education, for clean water, for for being safe in their own homes and in their own communities. Like, we need to invest in the communities, not just put more cops on the ground. That's not the solution to make cities safer. That's not the solution. But it doesn't mean that having more cops present doesn't make things safer. It may very well make things safer, and that's why it's not a yes or a no. My wife said it best last night. He said yes and no. You know, yes, if we put 5,000 cops on the ground, maybe it will make things safer. And we need all these other things too to make our places safer, because if you grant more opportunities and you create more programs and you give all these things that are helping people to, you know, to rise above the levels that they're currently at, then it will absolutely make for safer environments for everyone to live and to thrive in. And so again, I'm just watching the commentators who all had something to say about Mayor Johnson and him not answering the question, him dodging the question, and basically, he shook because he couldn't answer the question. He got flustered. No, he didn't get flustered. As a matter of fact, he tried to tell Joe, we don't need more cops. We actually need more detectives, to help mitigate some of the things that are going on within the communities, to get more of those questions answered and to be able to do more within the community. But every time he tried to bring that up, Joe would then break him back down. No, that's not what I asked you. I asked you a simple question that just requires a simple yes or no. And it's like, dude, I'm trying to answer your question by letting you know that it's not actually 5,000 more cops we need. We actually need more detectives within our police department. But he wouldn't let him get that off. And so again, I think it's one of those things where, we get so caught up in the sound bite and get so caught up in that little clip that we get that we fail to really unpack and understand the nuance that comes with being a leader. If he would have said, no, I don't think 5,000 cops will make our city safer, I can imagine his next meeting with the police commissioner of Chicago PD, would not have been a favorable one. That the cops would not think that he's on their side, and that would cause a whole lot of animosity that was unnecessary and unwarranted. If he were to say, yes, I think we need 5,000 more cops on the ground, now you have a whole host of communities who are up in arms with you, because we know that there's an anti-cop sentiment that is very much alive and well within all of our communities. And for a person like Mayor Johnson, who is trying so hard to gain and keep the city's trust, for him to say, yes, I think putting cops on the ground is what's going to make us safer, now you have a whole host of people that are under your care that no longer trust you, because you're saying to them that we need y'all to be policed, we need y'all to be corralled, we need y'all to be controlled, and so we're going to put all these boots on the ground to make that happen. And so again, he was in a very delicate space, Mayor Johnson. And it was not, and again, I understand Joe Scarborough and any reporter like him who is trying to put somebody on the record. I want to put you on the record. I want to get it known. This is where you stand. This is what you stand for. This is what you believe, and all those things. But as a mayor, and for anyone who's in a place of leadership, when you have to consider all of the people that are under your care, again, he's not just responsible for the cops. He's responsible for every citizen in that city. He's responsible for the fire department. He's responsible for the medical units. Like, he's responsible for an entire city. Black, white, purple, pink, the rich, the poor, everyone in between. He's responsible for every person in that city. And so he could not say yes or no to a question like that, because a yes or a no to that question would have implications and cause shockwaves throughout his city that he would then have to try to mitigate, minimize, and try to dampen in order to regain the city's trust one way or the other, whether it's to regain the cops' trust or whether it's to regain the citizens' trust. By and large, from what I've seen, from the work that he's done, he has done an amazing job of earning and keeping the city's trust. And when you have people's trust like that, you're not supposed to flip off at the mouth all willy-nilly. You have to be very measured and very calculating in a benevolent type of way to ensure that you keep the people's trust. And I don't believe that Mayor Johnson could have answered that question with a yes or a no, nor should he have. Because again, when you are in charge of people and you have all these different facets of people that you're in charge of, you have to be very careful what you say and how you say it. As we've been talking about this past week and a half, people just won't feel like they have carte blanche to say what they want to say, how they want to say it, when they want to say it, with whomever they want to say it to. And again, it's like we have forgotten our responsibilities to our people. We've forgotten that our actions, even our words, have consequences. There are consequences for saying things. There's consequences for doing things. Again, we are up under somebody who apparently you can buy your consequences off, but at the end of the day, actions have consequences. And I promise you, had he said, yes, we need more boots on the ground, he would have lost so much respect from the citizens that are under his care. Had he said, no, we don't need boots on the ground, now he's got to deal with the police commissioner and all the police officers who he's now asking, we need your help. Go help here, go help there. And now they're catching attitude because they don't want to help him because of what he said. And so again, it's not as simple as a yes or a no. Like my wife said last night, he should have said yes and no. Since you want a yes or a no, I'm going to give you both. Yes and no. Because yes, it could make people safer. No, it might not. But at the end of the day, it's not the only thing that we need in order to keep people safe. We need a host of things happening harmoniously and simultaneously for people to be safe. For people to feel like they have a community that is theirs, that they feel like they can get a leg up in the world, to be able to do the things that they want to do, and to be able to thrive in this world. And so again, it's not a yes or no. Will 5,000 more cops on the ground make the city safer? That's not a yes or a no question. The question is, how would 5,000 cops fit into a comprehensive system that would keep the city safe? That's the question. It's not, will 5,000 cops make that happen? No, it's not a yes or a no. It's a component. It's a component. If we have all these other things, maybe they will, maybe they won't. But it's a matter of whether or not the citizens themselves feel safer because we have those cops on the ground. I can't speak to that. He couldn't speak to that. All he could speak to is the fact that the data supported that when all the other programs are in place, the city has seen tremendous drops in crime rates and all the things that come with that. And so it would behoove anyone to recognize that whether we have a big cop presence or not, that's not the only thing that's going to make our city safe. That's not the only thing that's going to make things safer. We need holistic, multi-layered, multi-tiered, comprehensive plans that cops are a component of, and not just the thing that we are expecting to make people safer. So again, I say all that to say that again, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that people take the soundbite and feel as though, he was trying to dodge, or he got flustered, or he got slammed by Joe Scarborough. No, he was a mayor, and in that moment, he did what mayors are supposed to do, what leaders are supposed to do. He thought about the people that he serves and made sure that his answer was something that he could stand on in light of the people that he serves. Again, our country is supposed to be about service. One of the components is supposed to be about service. And the leaders that we put above us to make this country great are supposed to be servants, serving the people and giving the people the best chance at the best quality of life that they can have. They're not going to be perfect, but we can only hope that they can be true and authentic and selfless. And it seems like more and more, and especially in this social media age, that sentiment is not as strong and not as liked as it ought to be. So when you have someone like Mayor Johnson who made the sacrifice play by, I'm not going to answer that question with a yes or a no, I'm going to keep giving you the same thing I was giving you before, that we need more than that. He chose to, let people say what they're going to say. But at the end of the day, that's what I'm standing on. That we need more than just a big cop presence. We need more than that. We might need that, but we definitely need more than that. And if we can get the things that are a part of the plan, a part of the whole system, then maybe, just maybe, our cities can be a whole lot safer than they used to be. So my hat's off to Mayor Brandon Johnson. He is a leader among men, and I'm mad proud of him. and proud of the work that he's doing for the city of Chicago, and look forward to seeing more of him on my feeds and on TV, because, you know, the man is spitting some bars, he speaks truth, and he is showing us what leadership looks like. And a lot of us would do well to look to his example of how to lead people well and how to lead people with kindness and integrity. And I look forward to continuing to see what he does with his city and with his political aspirations moving forward. You are listening to and watching the Just Talking About podcast with your boy Eddie D, right here on the various platforms across social media, as well as Spotify and Apple Podcasts and YouTube. We are presented by Rebirth Publishings, the publishing arm of my adult superhero romance thriller, The Affinity Theory, book 1 of the Affinity Saga, and Echoes, book 2 of the Affinity Saga. In Affinity Theory, Malcolm, Simone, and their superpowered teammates have come together to take down a maniacal force of darkness who's hell-bent on wiping out the powered population and murking one of their own. In Echoes, Malcolm, Simone, and the Elite Defenders unit must stand united against a rogue political faction in an epic battle for the soul of Uri City. It's X-Men meets Hancock meets Twilight meets the Avengers. One of the best times you're going to have reading superhero novels in a very long time. I'll tell everyone, think SWAT or NCIS or 911 with superpowers, and that's what you're getting into with these books. And so again, you can head over to the bio and follow the instructions in the bio to secure your copies of The Affinity Theory and Echoes at your earliest convenience. And we certainly do appreciate you all for your time talking with us on today. Books, Beats, Lyrics Book Club said he came in late on this, but generally I think Black Americans are in denial about crime in our communities. I don't think the citizens are qualified to assess the situation, but it will have an impact on crime. Years ago, LA Ice Cube and others met with LAPD to talk about crime, and the LAPD cops said it plainly: control your people and we wouldn't have to, and what more. Again, basically to kind of sum that all up, Books Beats. But thank you, by the way, if you're still on. I may not be on anymore, but certainly do appreciate you for coming on. What it boils down to is that it's much more complicated than just cops. It's much more complicated than just having cops presence. You need a whole host of things happening all at the same time. What's going on, French, on TikTok? We see you. But you need a whole lot more than that. You need a whole lot more than that. You need, again, affordable housing plans. You need, how do we, funnel the resources into the communities to build, to have better schools, to, be able to, provide people with opportunities for building their businesses within their communities and not having to go all the way everywhere, for jobs, being not outsourcing jobs to all these other, concentrated areas, but being able to invest in the communities themselves. A whole host of things that's necessary. Again, not just cops on the ground, but needing detectives, needing, staff and all those other things. It's not just about boots on the ground that makes things safer. It's about a robust, comprehensive plan of how to rebuild our communities. When I look at how gentrified a lot of our communities are, a lot of, communities, if they just would have poured that money into the community itself instead of allowing it, let's be clear, to become, just riddled with, crime and no infrastructure, none of those things. So that way then they could buy the land back with pennies on the dollar to then build mega high rises with expensive payments and mortgages that nobody that lived there before could afford. It's clear that if we were to take that same energy and invest in the community and actually build up the community as is, then maybe crime would come down, because more opportunities within the actual neighborhoods that we live in would actually give us a reason to stay and thrive. And so again, I feel like a lot of times what ends up happening in these conversations is that we only look at it from the perspective of keep things safe, but we don't ask the question, how did things get this bad? as a former architectural student who was getting into this kind of work, I realized that a lot of people, let's call a spade, a lot of people, a lot of the money handlers, they allow these neighborhoods to become so riddled with crime and riddled with falling apart so that they can then buy that land up and then build high rises and build condos and build all these things. Go look at New Orleans. New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina, when the levees broke. I ain't gonna blame it on Katrina. When the levees broke, some of those same neighborhoods, they never got the investment that they should have gotten to build those communities back up. Instead, people got the pennies on the dollar, bought those communities up, and now high rises and all these restaurants that can't nobody afford are now all over the what used to be these lower wards. And so again, I'm saying that to say it's not as simple as putting more boots on the ground. That is a component of what's necessary. But when you've already decided you don't even want to make the investment in the neighborhood, you don't even want to make the investment in the city, you've already chosen that this part of the city is going to fall apart. You've already made that choice. And so putting boots on the ground is not going to solve anything. It's not going to solve it to the extent in which people want it to be solved. Again, you have to, it's an all-encompassing solution that is necessary to make all of our communities thrive. The same money that we invest in the districts that have your malls and have your high rises and have your ballparks and all those, that's, you give half of that, even a quarter of that to some of your lower neighborhoods, I'm talking about you see such progress. Just a quarter of what's being invested in these same places that don't need it because they're already fully vested. If you were to put some of that same energy into some of your lower neighborhoods, I promise you, you'd see some change. There's always going to be somebody in the bunch that's going to mess it up, clearly, but you would see so much change if you were to give people a fair, equitable chance. And that's all that he was trying to say. No, we don't need more boots on the ground as if that is the only thing that's going to solve the problem. The problem is bigger than that. The problem is much bigger than that. And if we were to solve it on all sides and not just one, then maybe, just maybe, the people would actually have a fairer chance of being able to thrive in the neighborhoods that they live in. So that's it for that. No one else has made any comments about anything as far as I can see. Let me see. Nope. No. All right. So that does it for that section. I would expect them to go off another 10 minutes on it, but here we are. The next thing that I wanted to talk about today on this Just Talking About podcast, I just got out of a session with a guy, and we were talking about self-love. And he asked the question, how do I love myself? Well, how do I love myself? And he started talking about, doing more things for himself, learning the things that he likes and all those sort of things, which things that I actually had told him the first time we talked. But as he was talking about it, I sat with myself for a minute in silence, just kind of thinking about, is that really what self-love is? Is it really just doing things that make me happy, doing the self-care stuff? Like, is that really what it's all about? Like, when we talk about self-love, when we talk about doing things, to love myself, what is that really about? And so after he got done talking, I sat there for about 30 seconds in silence, just kind of mulling over what was, trying to process what was in my head. And I said to him, as we're sitting here philosophizing on it, I literally said that, as we're sitting here philosophizing on it, I think that self-love is more than just doing things for yourself. I think it's more than that. And again, I was spitballing at this point. Holy Spirit was starting to do a work. And I said, I think that self-love is about being able to accept who you are in this present moment. Because for a lot of us, the reason why it's difficult to love ourselves is because we have projected some future version of ourselves that we don't like. Oh, no, some future version of ourselves that we believe is the person that is going to get me out of the current situation that I'm in. This future version of myself is the person that I'm going to love, that's going to be, loved by others, that's going to be highly successful. It's going to be all the things that I wish that I was right now. And for some of us, we spend a lot of time chasing a future version of ourselves that 5 years from now, we're going to be looking at ourselves from 5 years ago and saying, is this the person that I thought I was going to be 5 years ago? If you look 5 years ago now, you may ask yourself, is this the person that I thought I was going to be? The person that, is this the person I thought I was going to be then? And for the vast majority of us, none of us expected to be where we are 5 years ago. A few of us got there, but for the vast majority of us, we didn't get to where we thought we would be 5 years ago today. And we're going to start chasing, if we're not already chasing, some future version of ourselves that makes us feel inadequate, makes us feel unloved, makes us feel unworthy, makes us feel like we'll never become, makes us feel like we are less than. And as a result, we find ourselves chasing down whatever this future version of ourselves is that we think is going to be the answer to everything that's been going wrong with us. And that is one of the reasons why for some of us, we don't love ourselves, because we're not where we think we ought to be. And so I said to him, maybe self-love isn't about just doing things for yourself that you enjoy and like. That's a very, very big component of it. But maybe for some of us, it's actually about me understanding who I am as a person in this present moment and loving who I am in this present moment. That who I am in this moment is who I'm supposed to be in this moment. It doesn't mean I'm supposed to stay here, but it means that this is where I currently am. And in this present moment, I love the person I am because where I'm headed requires that I am who I am today. That just because I'm not who I want to be does not mean that I am not worthy. It doesn't mean that I am not lovable. It doesn't mean that I am not loved. It just means that I am who I am. And I will be this person as I'm making the moves to become a better version of myself every single day. And so self-love then isn't just about doing some self-care things every once in a while in order to make ourselves feel good and to pour into our cup, even though, again, that is a component of it. No questions asked. But it's also about understanding who I am. That who I am today is who I am today. And being not just okay, but being good, great with who I am today. In light of where I'm headed, in light of where I'm going, in light of what I'm trying to accomplish. I think for many of us, we spend so much time trying to chase down the future version of ourselves that we've created in our minds that we don't appreciate who we are today. We defeat ourselves before we've even started making changes because we don't have a love for self, the essence of who we are, the person that is in the vehicle right now. We spend so much time trying to chase after what we see on the social media platforms, or trying to be, who we think will gain us the boo, or gain us, the bay, or will get us the money that we're wanting to amass. And we spend so much time reconfiguring and reestablishing and resetting ourselves up to be this way or that way or the third. And as a result, we sometimes find ourselves not loving ourselves and beating ourselves up so badly that we don't appreciate or value who we are and where we are. I'm not saying that we don't strive for our dreams. Lord knows I'm fighting every single day. Dude, that's why I'm on the platforms now talking about my books and all the things. I want y'all to go get the books. But it doesn't mean that because I haven't sold as many books as I would like to, that means that I don't love who I am today. For who I am today is who I am today. And I love me enough to appreciate who I am today in light of where I'm going, in light of where I'm heading. And so I think that self-love is all about appreciating and understanding who I am presently. Not being so fixated on what I want the future to look like that I don't value who I am today. Because whether I'm here today or whether I'm down there, I am who I am. And as I'm talking to the believers in the house, we know that we love because Christ first loved us. And because of that, we can take to the bank that even at our worst, if he loved us enough to get on a cross and, for the TikTok, unalive, for our sins, then how much more should we pour that same love onto us? The same love in which, propelled Jesus to the cross is the same love that we now possess. And with that love, we now pour it onto ourselves, recognizing that we are who we are. Yesterday is gone, tomorrow is not promised. We are who we are. Let us love ourselves, pouring that love into ourselves every single day, recognizing that I am who I am today, in light of where I'm headed, in light of where I'm going. Doesn't mean that my life is perfect, doesn't mean that my life is all peaches and cream, but it also means that as of today, I am where I am, I'm doing what I'm doing, and until tomorrow becomes today, I can be content with who I am today. And so I challenge us today. I challenge us in our journeys for self-love, in our journeys of self-discovery, rediscovery, evolution, whatever you want to call it. Don't forget to look up. Because a lot of times we can get so focused on what we want and so focused on where we're trying to go that we can forget to look up and realize that, dude, we're good. Like, we're good. Like, again, we may not be where we want to be, and there may be some future version of ourselves that we're chasing down, but it doesn't mean that we are any less valuable. It doesn't mean that we're less valuable because we're not who we want to be in the future. It simply means that we are where we are today, and I can love who I am today in light of where I'm headed. Again, we don't have to settle for mediocrity. We can go for greatness. Along the way, pat yourself on the back. Love yourself. Love on yourself. Because again, we are worthy. We are valuable. We are loved. It doesn't mean that everything's perfect, but you are who you are, created in his image. And as a result, if he loves you, flaws and all, so can you. So again, I solicit and encourage. Self-love is more than just doing nice things for yourself. Do the nice things for yourself. I'm thinking about doing something nice for myself right now. As a matter of fact, I probably do not have time to go do that. Like, I really want to go get a Cinnabon right now, who we are not sponsored by the way. I really want to go get a Cinnabon, but it's too far away. But doing the things are nice, but it's also a matter of recognizing who you are. Who you are. I don't think the place that has it will be able to send it to me. I have to go check and see. But love who you are. You are who you are. You are not who you want to be until you become who you want to be. But until that time, love who you are. Doesn't mean you have to stay there if you're trying to change, trying to grow, trying to evolve, all the things. But again, love who you are, because you are valuable. You are worthy and you are loved. You are watching and listening to the Just Talking About podcast with your boy Eddie D right here on the various social media platforms, as well as Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. We are presented by Rebirth Publishings, the publishing arm of my adult superhero romance thriller saga, The Affinity Saga, with Book 1, the 3-time award-winning Affinity Theory, and Book 2, Echoes. You can go and get your copies of those books by heading over to the bio and following the instructions in the bio to receive your copies at the Affinity Saga store. Again, I really do appreciate you guys so much for giving me the opportunity to be able to talk with you guys about what is on my mind on today. I'm trying to see if I can find the store. Here we go. So we had this situation that occurred on let me see. It's on yesterday, it appears to be, where we had on during the U.S. Open, they had a tennis match that ended with a heated exchange between I'm gonna assume the lady's name is Helena Ostapenko and Taylor Townsend. Taylor Townsend had won their match 7-5, 6-1, and afterwards they had a very heated exchange. Townsend revealed to the newscasters that asked her questions that Ostapenko had told her that she had no class and no education to see what would happen when they get outside the U.S. And so basically there was another video that was shown on TikTok that basically Taylor Townsend said to Ostapenko, you need to learn how to lose better. You need to learn how to, lose with grace, how to lose well. And, I hope you have a great day. So Patty me would have probably had something else to say. But she handled herself with class and grace. Townsend handled herself with class and grace. Because, homegirl, listen, man, you got smoked, bro. Like, you got smoked. I see the score again at 7-5, 6-1. Like, she held her own that first match, but that second match, she got destroyed. 7-5 and then 6-1. Listen, you got your behind handed to you. You just gotta eat it and move on. Like you got your behind handed to you. And so Ostapenko, bless her heart, she was upset. she was mad, probably mad at herself, but she tried to take it out on her. And petty me would have been petty. Like they would have been a whole nother story told about how you coming at me talking about I ain't got no class, I ain't got no education. See what happens when we get outside U.S. What you mad? Why you mad at me? Don't be mad at me because my racket beat you down. Like, what you mad at me for? And so, it just again goes without saying, man. Some people, they can really get in their feelings about things, and that was uncalled for. That was inappropriate. Again, you could save all that energy for when you get in the locker room and you yell at the thing and do whatever you need to do. But you sitting up there talking about you ain't got no class, you ain't got no education. I'ma see you when we get outside the U.S. Like, for what? Like, what was all that about? Like, you lost 7-5-6-1. You lost. Like, why are you mad at me? Because I beat you. Like, what you mad at me for? why I got no class? Why I ain't got no education? Because I smoked you. Like, apparently, if I ain't got no education, I took the time that I should have gotten the education and learned how to play tennis. See, like I said, petty me. Petty me would have been petty. Like, okay, bet. You know what? Yeah, you right. I ain't got no class. I ain't got no education. I spent all my time on the tennis courts. That's why I smoked you. That couldn't have been me. That couldn't have been me, man. Oh, I would have been petty. I would have been petty AF. Because what you not finna do is disrespect me and think I'm gonna just, like, no, we not doing that. Like, no, you right. I ain't got no class. You right, I ain't got no education. That's why I smoked you. Maybe if you would have spent more time on the tennis court instead of in school, see, I would have been so petty. I would have been so petty. So it's so petty. That's why it ain't meant for me to do. But on the real, like, that was uncalled for. That was very classless. And again, like, more and more, again, people feel like they can say what they want to say, how they want to say it, with whomever they want to say it to. And at the end of the day, I'm glad that Taylor Townsend handled herself with class. So that way it didn't become a bigger scene than it could have become. Than it was. Ostapenko, again, you got your hand handed to you. It is what it is, take your licks and go. But again, then you have some people that are hoping that she'll end up, getting some type of fine for unsportsmanlike conduct and stuff like that. I doubt that's going to happen. But I do think that, it should call it at least into question. But at the end of the day, it really goes to show that, you still have, when you're in the heat of competition, again, this isn't a pass, but when you're in the heat of competition, you really can get in your feelings, especially when you getting smoked. That's the thing. Like, again, it was 7-5, okay, cool, but then you got reamed 6-1, 6-1. That means out of 7 matches y'all played, I'm sorry, 7 sets y'all played. Because it's game, set, match, right? So out of 7 sets, no. I'm sorry. Let me back up. Out of 7 games played, because the set is when you win. Out of 7 games played, you only won 1 in the second set. Like, you won 1 game out of 7. Yeah, you got smoked. Like, you got beat all the way down. Like, there was no coming back from that. Like, they're checking the pulse at this point. Like, again, so yeah, she was bad as fire. She was bad as fire. And I probably would have been bad too. But again, at the end of the day, like, we sit and we teach these kids. We teach the kids, if you go in, you play your best. It's all you can do. You congratulate them afterwards, and you get in the locker room. That's when you go ham on everything. No, she decided she wanted to be in her feelings at that point and want to call her all sorts of things. Talking about she got no class and ain't got no education. It's like, okay, if that's how you feel. But at the end of the day, guess who's moving on? Guess who's moving on? And she said in a future I think the next interview, she's like, I just let my racket do the talking for me, and I ain't got time for that. And so at the end of the day, man, it was uncalled for, unnecessary, but not surprising once again, because this is how people sometimes are. Again, it sucks that that she had to hit below the belt the way Ostapenko did, but at the end of the day, Taylor Townsend handled herself with class, handled herself with education, and let it be known that, hey, you feel how you want to feel, but at the end of the day, I won this match. And so, again, you know, ain't nothing she can do now but just go pout about it. And now, you know, everybody's going to be talking about just how petty and classless Ostapenko is after having lost the match, and the way and how she handled it after the fact. And so now that's going to be, you know, the headline for her. And now she's going to have to overcome that. Probably end up doing some type of blanket, you know, PR statement later on. And things like that, like we usually see when things like this occur. But again, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Congratulations to Taylor Townsend for moving on in the U.S. Open. Hope that she continues to go far. But yeah, man, that was some funny stuff today. I was like, that could have been me. I would have been so freaking petty. No class, no education. Yep, you right. I ain't got no class, no education, because I spend all my time on the tennis court. That's why I smoked you. That couldn't have been me. It couldn't have been me. Listen, I want to thank y'all so much for spending some time with me on today on the live, as we have been here on the Just Talking About podcast presented by Rebirth Publishings. I really do appreciate y'all from the bottom of my heart, as always, for spending just a little bit of time with me as I'm sitting here just blathering on about the things that I care about, the things that are bothering me. And so I really do appreciate y'all from the bottom of my heart for all the support. Love all my day ones. We got to see French Allsbrooks earlier today. Hijabi, you know, you my day one from day one. And I really appreciate y'all. Riri, I saw you on the live too. I do appreciate you for taking some time to talk with me today. Again, I love y'all to life. And I appreciate y'all for this opportunity to be able to talk with y'all about all the things that are going on in my head, and just giving me the opportunity just to talk about some stuff. So again, y'all have a great rest of your day, rest of your week. We'll be back here live Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So set your calendars, set your alarms. Definitely hit that subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts from, so that way you can know the next time that we are on live or when the next recording comes up. But as I always say, if you can't see the good, be the good. I love you guys. Peace out, homies.